once again taking the Constitution line by line. We've now moved into Article 1, Section 9, and we're now on Clause 5.
Okay. By the way, these are among the least known parts of the Constitution.
Has a lot to do with taxation. Once again, this is an economic document.
Right, and by the way,
political implications.
Yeah, well, at least parts of it are. Yeah. But this is, again, it was created, in reference to the Articles of Confederation, which
Correct.
really didn't deal with taxes.
No, and so these guys are super dealing with it.
Yeah. In other words, they had to deal with no money when they were running the country, under the Articles, so therefore they're going to fix it this time.
They're going to fix it. So I will read our line.
Great.
No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state.
Okay. My understanding is that this was concern of the southern states that their exports were going to be taxed differently than northern states.
Well, because the entire southern economy was based on export.
Okay, cotton.
Yeah, there was not manufacturers to speak of being exported from the north. Certainly not to compare to the volume of agricultural exports from the south. So it's saying, look, one size fits all. We're not taxing, South Carolina because it has a particular commodity that Massachusetts does not.
So the northern states were not exporting states?
Not nearly
like the southern states.
Not nearly like the southern states. So it would fall heavier on those states whose entire economy is bound up with an export crop. Okay. I mean, they're not making cotton. I mean, they're not making blue jeans in South Carolina. They're sending that cotton to southern France, for instance, where it's going to the mills at Nîmes, where it becomes cloth denim.
Denim?
That's it.
Whoa.
And that's kind of what we're talking about here. Now, there's some exceptions to this. Okay. For instance, Thomas Jefferson does the embargo, which essentially says you can't trade with anybody, but it was applied equally. So he said, we're not trading with those guys because we don't like those guys. So guess what? We're just not going to trade with them, and that's applied to every state evenly, and that's fully within the Constitution. Now, it was a disaster, and a lot of times wags would talk about the embargo as being the grab me, just take embargo and write it backwards, with appropriate gestures on what they're grabbing. Yeah. But, that's one example. There was a time in the Reagan administration where there was a ban on technology being sold to places like Libya.
Oh, yeah.
And things like that. So, and we also do that with China and things like that.
And oil.
Yeah, correct.
We were prohibited to export oil until a couple of years ago.
So it may fall heavier on oil-producing states like Texas, but it's not aimed at Texas.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest difference.
Right.
So, by the time oil is exported, it's moved from the wellhead to so many other different chains of ownership that the pain usually is shared.
Right.
So, not necessarily in proportion.
So what we've got here is another attempt to make sure that the Southerners supported the Constitution.
Correct.
By giving them a clause that would be important to them.
Yeah, we're not going to bust y'all's heads.
Right.
If we're not busting everybody's heads.
Right.
So.
Right. Treat us equally.
Yeah, pretty easy.
Even though we don't treat our slaves equally.
Well, because they're not people to them. They're property.
That's their argument.
And that's their argument. Okay. We've got to contextualize it.
Yes.
As icky as it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our line. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right. These are kind of
short and sweet.
Yeah, short and sweet. So we'll pick up the next conversation about taxation in the next line. Thanks.